Hello, everybody. How are you today? I'm experimenting with a brand new microphone that I got so that people could hear me. This is what I'm using at the moment, and I tested it and it worked. So hopefully, it took some doing, but I hopefully this time it'll work and you guys will be able to hear me. So what I've got going on today is I'm just going to simply cut out some of these really lovely papers that come from Rach and Bella's Crafts, and they are on their freebie shop page, and I believe through their Facebook page. I'm not a big Facebooker, but I have gotten onto their coffee shop page, and they have so many wonderful kits that have way more pieces than this, but um, these are some of the freebies that they let people have for nothing. And you can just get them for $0 at £0, and that's fine. And I did that with many of them. But if you're going to download many of them, it's nice to just basically donate a little something, because they're really going out of their way to make these things for you and us, and it's a real kindness on their part to do it. And so it's a kindness on our part if we can show a little love in that regard. And in another regard, I was going to just show a little love by showcasing some of their really pretty papers that they had for their freebies. And I wanted to let you know that, if you're just getting started like I kind of am, and you're looking for some printables that you can download and have in your file for free that don't cost you much, or some of the clubs or kits are really reasonable priced. Um, some of these places like Rach and Bella's Crafts is a really nice place to go. I found them on YouTube and I fell in love with their crafts and started binging. And so I just recently printed off some of these and wanted to just show that when you're these are just the things that go behind the scenes, where people are cutting out their digikits. And here I am, I'm just doing the real the folding the towels sort of scenes of craft paper crafting. But a lot of people don't really understand all that goes into it, and the little nuances. And I mean, some of it is trial and error, and some of it is stuff that I've learned along the way. For instance, I just cut out all these tags as you were watching me talk. Um, I just cut them all out into their this one's got 3 tag shapes. So I can cut the corners off to make these into tags really quick. So what I cut them down with the trimmer, and then I can use my scissors to just cut off the corners. And I'll just stack them up and cut the corners kind of like, where is that line? It's kind of hard to tell because I did an overlapping design, which turned out pretty cool. Another thing I did is, and this is not necessary, but I printed on the other side just so there was something on the other side of this cardstock, which I used. Our printer had some issues yesterday, but it looks okay. So here's the tags that we came out with. See if a lot of the tags come with spaces in between them on their Digikit sheet, or a lot of them have white edges. And you can spend your time using your scissors if you're really straight and narrow and are able to cut like that. But even with that little bit, I can tell that there's a wobbly in there. So for big parts like that, I love using the trimmer. If you ever wonder what kind of equipment is really necessary for paper crafting, of course, a good pair of something like these Fiskars scissors. I just like the Fiskars. I don't know. They've always been true to me. And this one is the titanium nonstick, and they really go through a lot. They've cut a lot. And so we've cut out these tags with these weird bottom backs. And we've got some scraps left over, which we can use in another project. So here's another thing that I was doing. I used, as you saw, the trimmer to cut the size of this big envelope, which can either be a gigantic tag. They said if you cut off the bottom, if I remember that correctly on this one, or you could make it into the envelope shape, which I kind of like the envelope shape. So I use the trimmer for that, but you definitely then want to come in with your scissors, probably even your smaller scissors than this if you have some fussy cutting type scissors. My favorite are the Tim Holtz little black ones. I've had a pair that's lasted me since I started in doing this, which is just maybe not quite 2 years ago. And yeah, it seems like a long time, but it's not. It's been a slow process and gradual, and you know, not being able to craft full force like a person wants to, because life does things like get in the way. So I may not have progressed as quickly as I would love to, but I feel like I'm still a beginner. So while you're trimming your papers, it's kind of one of those relaxing, just kind of those mind-numbing days where you just want to just follow the lines and cut, and then the sound and the feel of the cutting, if you're anything like me, is, oops, sorry about that sound. Sorry about that sound. If you're anything like me, the cutting is kind of a therapeutic project. It you know, it can either, you can whip right through it, or you can just take your time, kind of like what I'm doing, because I'm trying to concentrate and talk and film at the same time. And I know this isn't very exciting, but like I said, there's just, as you watch my pattern, don't have to feel like you have to copy this pattern, and it's not like a pattern really or anything. I'm just going around each piece of printed material, and cutting the whites around. That's simply what I'm doing. And again, I could use the scissors, or I could use this, and this is just much more accurate. And I honestly think this is slippery and getting out in the way, so I'm going to move it. Okay, so I don't know if the background's that much better, but it has my trusty cereal bag liners on the table taped down, and so they are solid and they're really good for working on, because you can mess them up and just rip them off, but they actually wipe down and last for longer than you'd think. So if you got them taped down nicely, then they'll work for you for a while. So then you end up with like in this case, these are really beautiful, nice journaling cards, perfectly rectangular. You don't have to back them. I just happen to back mine. So there's another one. And then here's one of the scraps that came off of it. And then that'll just go in another bin. So basically that's all there is to it, except for, you know, what I wanted to show you, basically what I do, and whatever you guys do, let me know how it works for you, because everybody's different, and I love how everybody lives differently. But is wherever there's like a long piece that needs to be cut, I either use this trimmer, or I use my guillotine, which I actually invested in first. And it works really well too. It just depends on what you like. And if the paper's too long, it doesn't work in here. And this can be a little fiddly. So I love this one. And they sell refills of these little razors in here. So they're great. So here we got a couple of cards ready to go. So anything interesting is, okay, I would just say, like, here, this is kind of like, okay, well, do I really want to go through a lot of trouble of cutting around? No, this is not a good example. Let me think if I can find something else. Hold on just a second. I'll see if I can find something better. There's a better example. Well, before I do that, let me just show you what we got so far. So we've got these 3 tags. We've got these 2 journaling spots, and we've got this big envelope. which I can then fold into thirds if I desire to. And I'll do that later. We still have these to cut out, and I like to cut out all these little things because they're so cool. And all these scraps we can put into a separate bin and use them later on in some other scraps. And if you don't want to keep the really small, like, I mean, this might be pushing it. You don't have to keep every last scrap. Don't feel compelled. Just, whatever. This is something that's supposed to be no stress, so don't stress about it. But like this one, I like this one because it's just, I could ink around the edge of this and it would just make a nice collage piece or a piece of edging on a journal page. So I would definitely keep this piece. So before you throw them out, you might want to just glance at them and see if there's something on there that a nice strip like that might be worth cutting, or even just inking up the white part. And this edging is pretty neat in itself. So what you can do with the scraps left over is what I'm getting at. So nothing wasted, nothing wasted. So what was I getting at before? Talking about, oh, when you would not necessarily need to use your cutting board necessarily as you would need to use your scissors when you're cutting up a Digikit. And let me go find a little piece of, or a piece, let me go find a piece of ephemera page, or I mean a Digikit page that I have printed that requires more scissor cutting and less, I think, and less cutting board cutting. This is one here. This one has a little bit of cutting board cutting. I'll do really quickly. I'm going to just slice this off here. Slice this one off. And like these ones, they're like, they get to the point where they're short enough that you can get in there with your scissors. And you can do these as long as you want, really. Just when the tags and the shapes are getting a little bit smaller, if it's a piece that your scissors can stretch across, then by all means use the scissors if you want to. Of course, if you want to cut off every single piece, like every single corner with your slicer, you can, but that would just be too much trouble in my mind. So I'm going to just snip them with the scissors. I mean, these things are I know they may seem commonsensical and obvious, but if you're new to paper crafts, you might not consider some of these things. I mean, just the simple act of cutting apart a Digikit, it could be overwhelming with all the ideas out there and all the things that we're supposed to already know as we go into the craft world. Things that may seem obvious to others or may not necessarily obvious to all. So I just wanted to kind of point that out, give you a few ideas of what you could do with some of the things. So these ones I cut out with my scissors. These ones I will cut out with my scissors. And I even keep these little, whatever, scan me doodads, because in a collage, anything goes, right? And you can use them for a collage, or you can make them into a little tag and stick them into a very tiny pocket, maybe. And of course, maybe ink the edges or something. So I want to thank Rach and Bella for what they have done in providing these beautiful graphics for us. And I will do my best to try to link their, at the very least, their YouTube page. That's where I found them. So if you're just getting started and would like a few pages to get started with, these are really beautiful for spring. And yeah, this is just a simple how to cut. And this one I could do with scissors if I wanted. I could go here. If you're still with me, you get the gist. So Okay, just one more thing. I'll slice this one with scissors just because it's a littler slice. That's just, you know, how my mind works. Oh, by the way, that one went in that trash. It was just plain white. So there you go. I think that we got this one more card left to do, and I'll let you go for now. And thanks again for watching. I hope that you like and enjoy this kind of video. If you have any thoughts or questions or comments, or you know, if something has been described maybe redundantly, let me know, or if something has been described in a way that helps you, let me know, or whatever it is, just please be nice. I'm a very sensitive soul, and I know anybody who crafts knows what it's like to put your soul out there when you're crafting, even if it is something as simple as cutting up your Digikits. So anyway, thank you for watching and have a great day. Bye.